The old man felt a little thirsty, so he knocked on the door of the village beauty's house. Unexpectedly, as soon as he entered, he saw the male owner possessed by the Night King, which scared him and made him not thirsty, and quickly retreated. Old man, old man. The smoker was just falling asleep. He heard someone calling him. The old smoker was refreshed. He saw a little baby calling beside him. The old smoker immediately recognized that this was the little guy who blocked his way. The little guy was not skilled enough and couldn't speak, so he could only dream to the smoker at night. The boy knelt down on the ground and told the old smoker the reason. The boy was a yellow-skinned animal in Sanjiagu. A few days ago, he didn't know where, a man with black gas all over his body appeared and directly grabbed his two siblings and swallowed them alive. His siblings were also taken away by that man. Those days, the other animals around were also killed. He was able to escape thanks to his father's timely bite to hurt the man. So he came to the famous old smoker for help. The old smoker was puzzled. This is a royal matter. Why didn't he ask the leader of the royal family, Mrs. Huang? Only then did he know that all the immortals around all went to celebrate the birthday of, to celebrate Wu Santai's birthday, so he could only ask the old smoker for help, seeing the poor little guy, and agreed to help. The next morning, on his way to Sanjiagu, he met Wu Laoliu, who was selling vegetables in Sanjiagu, so he took a ride with him. On the way, Lao Yanhu asked him about the recent strange things in Sanjiagu. Wu Laoliu said, "A man named Li Wonka has been behaving strangely. He used to be an honest man, but recently his temperament has changed greatly. He not only dared to hit his wife, but also dares to eat yellow-skinned animals raw." The old smoker understood. It seems that the little yellow skin was talking about him. Soon, the two arrived at Li Wonkai's house. The old smoker got off the carriage and knocked on the door. "Who is it?" "I want a bowl of water." It was Li Wonkai's wife who answered the door, seeing an old man asking for water, so she let him in. But before the old smoker entered the house, he heard a man yelling loudly. "Who is making noise at the door?" The old smoker looked up and trembled with fright and saw a general's ghost behind the man. "Oh my God!" I suddenly stopped coughing. The old smoker forced a smile, turned around and went out, and then called Li Wonkai's wife outside and asked about Li Wonka. Li Wonkai's wife knew that the old man was a famous smoker. She cried and told the story of Li Wonkai's change. That day, they were working in the field. Li Wonka suddenly stood there motionless. His wife approached and saw his eyes rolled white and blue veins popping out, and was sucking something into his mouth, the black gas rising from the field. His wife wanted to wake him up, but was knocked down by a kick. Since then, Li Wonka changed his temperament. He did nothing every day and just knew sleeping. He didn't respond when she called him to eat, and he would flip the table at every turn, until one night, he heard noises in the kitchen. He went to see. He saw Li Wonka eating yellow weasels raw in the kitchen. He not only ate and caught many to keep at home as snacks. If it doesn't eat, it feels uncomfortable, just like Dolly. The old smoker heard this, which matched what the little yellow first said. He asked Li Wonkai's wife to set the weasel free and find a place to hide for a few days, and left the rest to him. That night, while Li Wonka was asleep, his wife released all the weasels in the cage. Then she went to a relative's house. That night, the old smoker talked about it with his wife. He suspected that Li Wonka had dug up a general's tomb, but in Sanjiagu area, there was no such thing as a general's tomb. His wife said maybe there was one before, but no one in their generation knew about it. So he asked his seventh uncle. After all, the old man is almost 120 years old. The next morning, the smoker brought good wine and food and went straight to his seventh uncle's house. Although the seventh uncle was over 120 years old, with wrinkles and age spots on his face, and he had no teeth left in his mouth, but he is not deaf or blind. Asking the old smoker to speak quickly and get to the point. The old smoker didn't beat around the bush and asked about Sanjiagu. The seventh uncle leaned on the recliner and started to recall. Then he sat up abruptly, saying yes repeatedly. He said that in the Ming dynasty, there was a general whose surname was Zhu. He could take the general's head from the army. It was as easy as liking and following. After retirement, he was tired of eating meat every day. Even if the cook changed the dishes every day, he still had no appetite. One day, he was walking in the garden. he found a yellow-haired animal squatting on the wall. He asked the servant what it was. The servant said it was a weasel. The general thought it was fresh, so he asked to catch it for wine. The servant was a little panicked, saying that it couldn't be eaten, and no one eats it. But the general glared at him, so the servant arranged a yellow weasel banquet that day. The general tasted them one by one, but still felt that it lacked a fresh taste, so he asked the servant to catch some alive. It turned out that the general used to march and fight. He often ate wild animals raw to satisfy his hunger, which led to a habit of eating raw food. The general pinched off the head and tail of the live weasel without dipping in sauce and stuffed them directly into his mouth and chewed them with a crunch. He became addicted to it. Since then, the general asked people to catch weasels every day, and people called him the Yellow-Skin General. Lao Yan thought it was the same as Li Wankai's problem. He asked his seventh uncle about the general's fate, but he didn't expect that the general died in a very funny way. The general had a strange disease. He liked to eat weasels raw. He felt uncomfortable if he didn't eat one. But even if there were more weasels, couldn't stand his eating like this. Soon, there were no more weasels around. But the general didn't care. If he couldn't eat weasels, he would take them. The servants were going to be beheaded. The older servant said there was a graveyard nearby, where there were many weasels, but it was rumored to be haunted, and no one dared to go. The general was excited when he heard this, and was ready to go himself. Without waiting for the servants, he rode his horse alone to the cemetery. Soon, he arrived at the cemetery. Sure enough, he saw the yellow-skinned animals running around, making his mouth water. He caught one. He cut off its head and tail, directly stuffed it into his mouth and chewed it. The other weasels were scared and hid in a dense forest. The general couldn't let go of the food in front of him, so it chased after it with big steps. Not paying attention, he felt something hit his head. He looked up. He found that he had hit a large hornet's nest. At this moment, no matter how high his martial arts are, he was just a small fry in front of the little wasp. When the servants arrived at the cemetery, they found the general. They were shocked. The general's face was covered in big bumps, and his head had swollen into a pig's head. He was lifeless. After hearing this, Lao Yanhu was also surprised. The experienced general would die like this. It's really fate. Uncle Qi said he passed by the general's tomb a few years ago. He saw that the feng shui of the place was broken. If the general came out to make trouble, he could use the blood of 3 Yangs to sprinkle his grave. Hearing this, the old smoker finally understood. Before leaving, he asked for the 7th uncle's shotgun. The 7th uncle was generous, since he didn't need it anymore, so he let him take it. The hunting rifle of the 7th uncle is not ordinary. It was given to him by a strange man. When not in use, it was placed on the table. There are still 8 or 9 bullets in it. The smoker looked at the shotgun. His eyes lit up, thinking that he was doomed. After saying goodbye to his 7th uncle, Lao Yanhu went to the butcher Biaozi's house first, and then went around the mountain. He arrived at Li Wankai's house near evening. As soon as he entered, a thick stick hit him on the head. Lao Yanhu bent down, and the entire door frame was smashed to pieces. It was Li Wanka who swung the stick, but there was a general's soul attached to him. Lao Yanhu was afraid of hurting Li Wanka, so he didn't dare to shoot, seeing that Li Wanka was swinging a stick again. The old smoker was so anxious that he could only jump left and right. Just when he was worried about it, a big ball of fur flew past him. The ball hit Li Wanka directly, and the general's soul was also knocked out. After the fur ball dispersed, Lao Yanhu could see clearly it was the group of weasels he saved before. After stabilizing, the general's soul roared and pounced on him. The old smoker had no worries. He aimed at the general's soul and shot it. The general's soul was punched with several holes, but it soon reunited. The old smoker dodged for several rounds, and even his nose was bleeding. He didn't care about the pain. He whistled and called the BMW hiding outside. The old smoker got on the horse and named the BMW Yi Zhanfeng casually. The old smoker started in 3rd gear and raced with the general. So the horse ran ahead, and the soul was chasing. When the old smoker saw that he was being caught up, he threw himself aside. He dived into the nearby woods. He stopped until he reached a pool of water. He raised his gun and waited for the general to come. When the general came closer, the old smoker pulled the trigger. but the shot missed the general. But it shot past the helmet. The old smoker didn't shoot again and directly turned and jumped into the water. The general was about to chase. He was suddenly hit on the head by a hornet's nest. The general trembled when he heard the sound and turned into a black smoke and ran away. When the bees were gone, Liao Yanku also emerged. He called his BMW and rushed to Li Wankai's house in a gust of wind. The butcher Biaozi was already waiting for him. Liao Yanhu asked him to pour all the blood into the general's grave. With a bucket of blood, black smoke rose from the pit instantly. A few minutes later, when the black smoke dispersed, he confirmed that the general was gone. Only then did the old smoker breathe a sigh of relief. The old smoker, who was tired all day, went to bed early. But he was sleeping soundly. He heard someone calling him again. He opened his eyes. It was the family of yellow weasels. The old smoker thought they wanted to thank him, but the family of weasels actually knelt down again, saying they had something to ask. A middle-aged yellow weasel said their ancestor Huang Laotai, Situ, and Jinli were detained by Hu Santei. Now only the smoker can save them. The old smoker was anxious. He was asked to save them from the leader of the immortals. He hasn't lived enough, just by the reputation of the boss. He knew he couldn't afford to offend him. The middle-aged yellow skin said it's definitely not enough to rely on the old smoker. There is a 1,000-year-old turtle in the Sidao River. You have to ask him for help. Hey, I'll teach you a way to live a long life. See if you can understand it. The old man is rich and crazy. He didn't eat the pears and threw them all into the river to feed the turtle. But he hadn't thrown many yet. The security guard behind shouted, "Stop throwing. If you throw more, you can't eat them." The old smoker turned around. There was an even older man eating pears behind him. The old smoker saw the old man's appearance. He thought this was the old turtle he was looking for. The old man recognized the smoker at a glance, saying that the smoker still owed him 3 liters of tribute. The smoker realized that this old man was the big turtle that carried him across the river. The smoker apologized immediately after learning that, but the old man didn't mind and asked why he called him up. The old smoker heard from the yellow-skinned spirit that the old turtle likes to gamble, so he came to bet with him. The old turtle was excited when he heard the bet. He asked what to bet on. The old smoker said if the old turtle won, he would feed the old turtle for a month. If he lost, he just needs to be his sworn brother. The old turtle knew it wasn't fair. He is almost 1,000 years old, which is older than the old smoker's ancestor. To be sworn brothers with this old man, it would be a big loss. But the old man didn't care. He thought he would definitely win. The old man's 2 greatest loves in life are pears and gambling. It seems that he has been controlled by the smoker. It's best of 3. The first round was about marksmanship. The old turtle had trouble even holding a gun, let alone aiming. But the old smoker has the skill of shooting arrows. So the smoker easily won the first game. The second game was swimming. The old man was just about to dive into the water and was ready to give the smoker a hard time in the water. But the old smoker didn't even move and directly conceded, because he was a landlubber. The third game was about eyesight. The 2 stood hundreds of meters away from the apples on the tree to see who counted accurately. A few minutes later, Liao won another game. The old turtle was so angry, but he had to admit defeat. He could only hold it in. Seeing the old man admit defeat, he took out the incense he had prepared in advance and offerings. The old turtle just realized that the old man must have cheated. The apples on the tree, he must have counted them many times privately. I didn't like him very much before, but after looking at him more, I felt we were fated. So he didn't expose him. Then he followed the old smoker to kneel on the ground, kneeling down and kowtowing. Yang Xiaoyu. I, Yang Xiaoyu. We are brothers, not born in the same year, month, or day, but we die on the same day. We share happiness and share weal and woe. It turns out that this old turtle has a name, named Yuan Bao. Liao Yanhu got a big bargain. Not to mention the huge age gap. Just the same year and day of death. Liao Yanhu could live for 1,000 or 800 years. The old smoker is also a sly fox. He first pulled the big demon Yuan onto the boat, and then let him contribute. After the oath, the old smoker asked Yuan to help him to save someone from the leader of immortals, Hu San. But Yuan said that Hu was old and was a bit confused, but he wasn't a bad person. He and Hussein Taiyi were close friends, so he couldn't help. But as the elder brother, he didn't say he wouldn't help. He gave the old smoker a small turtle shell to keep him alive, then told the old smoker how to go to Hussein's house, and turned back to the river. The next morning, the old smoker followed Yuan's instructions, rode his BMW all the way east, until the sun set. He saw a house in the woods. The old smoker looked. It was brightly lit. It must be the home of Hussein Taiyi. This one-eyed old man, he broke into the den of monsters alone because he wanted to save his spirit animal, and his only reliance is the 1,000-year-old turtle shell from his sworn brother. As soon as he entered, the old smoker saw some acquaintances standing in front of the boss, Hussein Taishu. These people were the mouse spirit, toad monster, and the pervert, Flathead. The old smoker immediately understood it was these little bastards who were causing trouble. No wonder the boss was so angry. It was all because of these little demons' gossip. The three told the boss all about it, without mentioning how they had harmed others. So, Hussein's grandfather heard from Hussein's grandfather was that this old man intentionally against Lu Immortal and was a complete bad egg. Seeing that things were getting difficult, he had to take out the token of the old turtle, and then began to complain about the boss in a roundabout way for being unfair. Unexpectedly, this method worked. After the old smoker said that, Hussein's grandfather really fell for it. He was given a chair and asked him to say where he was wronged. The smoker didn't hesitate and sat down to complain. Jean Pierre, listen to me. It's not that I'm bored and have nothing to do. It's their fault for betraying their masters. They didn't practice well, but cheated people. Let's talk about the mouse spirit first. Gluttonous and lazy, and used integrity to dig a village underground, and stole all the villagers' food. Then there's the bro. Is actually a big pervert. It's hard to become human. He must steal a wife to have fun. Finally, the toad monster is the worst here. He occupies the mountain and collects followers. He lures children's souls and makes them confused. Every child is a treasure. If they lose their souls, it's terrible. They failed several sneak attacks, so they can only wait here. The old smoker in one breath spilled all the secrets about the monsters. The three of them were sweating profusely. Hussein's grandfather understood a little bit, but the old smoker said that he was a mortal, but defeated the wild immortals, which was indeed embarrassing. So they finally decided to let them compete on the winner of 3 games would be decided. The old smoker also understood who clearly favored the three. Knowing that he couldn't compete with them, he could only accept it. Before the competition, Lao Yanqui proposed he wanted to meet the 3 imprisoned immortals first. The rat spirit wanted to stop him, for fear that those people would give the old smoker ideas. But third grandpa knew that he had been deceived by Housie and the others. He directly told him to get lost. Then he asked his servant to take the old smoker to the backyard. When the old smoker entered the room, Situ and Jinli were sitting there drinking tea. Huang's wife was also helped out by Huang's third aunt. Seeing that the immortals were fine, the old smoker's heart was finally at ease. Lao Yanhu complained that Situ was his spirit animal, and didn't say anything when he was in trouble. Too unbrotherly. First, Situ didn't want Lao Yanqui to know. Second, his immortal bone had been locked by Hussein Taiyi, and couldn't inform him, so he was curious how Lao Yanqui found him. Lao Yanhu told him about meeting the little weasel and being pointed by Yuan Old Man and the 3 competitions, and told him everything. Although these people have lived for hundreds of years, but they still sighed that the old smoker's immortal fate is not ordinary. Next, it was the 3 competitions. Jinli plucked a scale from himself and gave it to Lao Yanqui. He suggested that the first one was to fight with the big toad in water. With the scales, even if Lao Yanqui is a landlubber, he could instantly become a white fish in the waves, but it can't guarantee a sure win. Ci2 taught Yuan Lao Tu the spell of turtle shell to ensure success. In the second match, Wang gave the old smoker the hairpin on her head and let him compete with the big rat. The big rat would definitely do something underground. This hairpin can command the royal descendants, though it can't win, but it can save her life. Ci2 also took out 3 steel needles from his sleeve. With these things, the second match would be over. but everyone took out their best weapons. They could only win 2. But the third one, the bro, is the hardest to deal with. Time waits for no man. Before everyone could think of the countermeasures for the third competition, the servant pushed the door and urged them. The old smoker stood up and slapped the table. Well, there's no turning back once the bow is drawn. We can only leave the third match to fate. The old man is a landlubber, but voluntarily challenged the toad monster in underwater skills. Fortunately, the koi boy gave him a scale, which can turn him into a swimming coach in seconds. The old lady turned into a big toad with a cry, and jumped into the water with a plop. The old smoker held his breath, and sank into the water. The smoker felt so comfortable in the water for the first time, and forgot that there was a toad monster behind him. The big toad took advantage of the old smoker's and bit his arm directly. The old smoker felt pain. He took something out of his pocket and turned around to make a backhanded strike. The big toad was thrown far away. What the old smoker took out was the turtle shell given by his sworn brother Yuan. Situ told the old smoker, "This turtle is no ordinary thing. To beat the toad, he must rely on it." With confidence, he started to deal with the big toad in the water. After dozens of rounds, Lao Yanhu was exhausted and was kicked on the back by the big toad. Lao Yanhu knew that the toad was not easy to deal with, so he had to fight quickly. He deliberately led the toad to the edge of the big rock, and then climbed into the stone. When the toad chased after him, he threw the big treasure from above, and then chanted the spell given by the four heads. The turtle instantly grew bigger and smashed towards the old toad. When the turtle shell fell down, the big toad had nowhere to hide and was directly crushed under it. The first round, the old smoker won. When Husan saw that it was the old smoker, he was surprised and was curious about the old smoker. Pingtouch saw that the old smoker was lucky. He shouted to be the second one. The old smoker waved his hand and said, "Don't let me rest. I'll deal with you last." The little brother is a hot-tempered person. He wanted to go up and beat the smoker, but was scolded by Husan Taiyi because he had said before how to compete and who to compete with. Lao Yanhu decided to follow the plan. Lao Yanhu looked at the big rat, and he would compete with it in the second round. Lao Yan proposed to compete with the big rat in digging. This made the big mouse very happy and asked if Lao Yanhu had water in his head. The flat-headed guy next to him thought that Lao Yanhu did it on purpose and shouted to go up and pinch the smoker to death. But he didn't hit the old smoker, but he was scolded by the Husan Taiyi. After the rules were agreed, the big mouse started to dig first. Digging holes is a rat's innate skill. He dug hard and quickly, and dug a big hole into strokes. The old smoker took out the hairpin given by Mrs. Huang and dug with it. But before he dug a few times, he felt his feet loosen, and he fell into it. Sure enough, the big rat started to make trouble underground. The smoker had just climbed out of the pit. He saw the big rat standing in front of him angrily. Under his feet, hundreds of mice rushed towards the old smoker. The smoker was thinking of a way. A hole was broken in the earthen wall beside him. Countless yellow skins crawled out from inside and rushed straight towards the rat nest. The dusk battle was about to break out. Weasels and mice are natural enemies. When they fought, the weasels bit and kicked, and obviously took the upper hand. Seeing that his descendants were useless, he cursed and rushed up by himself. The old smoker, guided by the little yellow skin, and dug in the earth wall behind him. It turned out that there was another hole outside. The old smoker bent over and got in. The big rat behind wanted to chase after him, but was stopped by several little yellow ones. After walking a few steps in the hole, Lao Yanhu felt that his feet were wet. He guessed that he should be near the riverbank. He looked up. A group of weasels were digging desperately. It turned out that the weasels wanted to dig through the river and let the water flood in to drown the rat spirit. The old smoker picked up the big tool and made the little yellow ones move aside. He used the artifact lent by the old lady to dig the hole. This big treasure is like an excavator, and with a few clicks, water gushed out. The old smoker quickly asked the little yellow to evacuate, leaving only himself and the big rat in the hole. The rat spirit heard the sound of water in the hole and had a bad feeling. Before he could react, he saw a stream of water gushing out in front of him. The rat is most afraid of water in the hole and turned to run, but he was soon flooded. The rat spirit couldn't breathe in the water and panicked, so he could only drink water. The old smoker has a weakness. He grabbed the rat spirit. He took out the embroidery needle given by CI2 and was ready to take a nucleic acid test. On the shore, Husanti and others couldn't see the battle below, waiting anxiously. A fountain of water gushed out, and many big-bellied little mice rushed out. Then, they saw the old smoker dragging the rat spirit up. The rat spirit drank a lot of water, and his stomach was swollen like a big ball. It turned out that the old smoker changed his mind at the last moment. Not only didn't give him a nucleic acid saved him. The second game, the smoker won. Pinkta saw that he lost again. He started whining and wanted to go up and teach Leo Yanhu a lesson. Grandpa Hu saw that the dog was a bit arrogant and slapped him away with a big slap. Then he asked his servants to take Leo Yanhu and Pingtouch back home and prepared for the third game. The third game, the old smoker wasn't fully prepared. But now, he had to bite the bullet and go. He drank some wine and smoked a cigarette. Just as the old smoker recovered, Pinkta couldn't wait to rush up. The old man, with his mortal body, fought against a cultivated flathead. Although the old man has few teeth left, but his legs and feet are still quite flexible. The boss was enjoying the show. His favorite youngest son came back at this time. The old man was a little unhappy, complaining that his son came back missing his birthday celebration. The young master stood beside Husan Grandpa and looked into the courtyard. He was stunned when he saw the two in the competition. After dozens of moves on the field, the old smoker's disadvantage of his age was revealed. After barely taking a few punches, he had no more strength. He accidentally took a punch. He was about to pass out. But when he was half unconscious, he felt someone walking towards him. When the person came closer, the old smoker felt a shock in his mind. He instantly became sober. His body, which was about to fall, flipped backwards, and he stood up. When he looked up again, his whole spirit and energy had changed. The old smoker smiled. It seemed that the few remaining teeth in his mouth were saved today. Pinkta was confused. Why is this old man getting more and more energetic? Even the next few moves, he easily dodged them. He looked like an old man, but his energy is like that of an 18-year-old. Not only Pingtouch, even the servants nearby also thought the old smoker was hiding his true strength. Husan's grandfather found that his youngest son was gone, so he asked the servant. The servant said the young master couldn't stand a fairy bullying a mortal, so he went back to sleep. The flat-headed brother became more and his hand strength increased a little. But the old smoker didn't dodge this punch, but smiled and threw a punch. 2 punches. Only a few screams were heard. Only the one who knows. Pinkta was unconvinced. In his eyes, the old smoker was just an old man who could shoot. The old smoker said with a grin that he had been practicing martial arts since childhood, but he just didn't show his true skills. The broccoli got more and more angry and raised his leg to kick again. The old smoker took a sidestep, aimed at the flat-headed brother's nose with his right hand. He swung. Pingtouch covered his bleeding nose and hadn't reacted yet. The old smoker kicked him again, but he just dodged a kick. A punch came straight at him and knocked out a tooth. Being beaten up made the broke guy lose his mind. He directly entered the demonization mode and teleported towards the smoker. The smoker was a bit careless, his 2 arms, and was immediately grabbed by the bro bleeding. The old smoker wanted to beat the flat-headed guy, but not to hurt him. But the Rottweiler attacked with deadly moves, forcing the smoker to use his true power. The old smoker stood with his hands down. Yellow smoke rose from his body, and even his appearance became pointed ears and long eyes. And sharp teeth grew in his mouth. He looked like a god descending to earth. The little guy saw. He recognized the posture before he could say who it was. The old smoker rushed over with clenched fists. The punch was extremely fast, straight towards the flat-headed brother's face. Pingtouch hadn't figured out how to respond and was directly knocked flying out. Then the smoker continued to punch him several times, making the badger know why the flowers are so red, seeing that the outcome was settled, and wanted to end the fight. But at this time, the broke guy was already blinded by anger and couldn't listen to any advice. He got up from the ground, took off his leather jacket, and shook it, and launched a big move at the old smoker. In an instant, countless steel needles were stabbed at the smoker. Just then, Husan Taiyi flashed in front of him, and with a wave of his hand, he deflected the attack. Pingtage's behavior completely angered Hu Santeye. To get revenge on the smoker, who had exhausted his power, he tricked Husan into giving him a 100-year-old inner pill. But now he was provoking the old monster's dignity, which made Hu Santeye angry. He directly slapped back the inner pill. Without the inner pill, Pingtouge immediately revealed his true form. He kicked a few times and died. The old smoker finally won the third competition. Hu Santeye also agreed to release several immortals, and even sent the old smoker out of the mansion. He even called out to his third brother when leaving, "Look there," which means he recognized Liao Yanhu as his sworn brother. After returning home, Liao Yanhu rushed to complain to Yuan Laodu, saying that he almost died there. The old turtle laughed after hearing that, saying he had long expected Liao Yanhu wouldn't die. It turned out that Hu Santeye and the old turtle were also sworn brothers. They take the oath of brotherhood very seriously. If the old smoker died, Hu would have died as well. So even if someone helped the old smoker win the third game, Hu would pretend not to see it.